So today we're going to be fitting a battery tray. These are about £45 plus postage and are in fact slightly cheaper than getting a second-hand one off eBay recently, I've noticed. So I've got everything I need. So the battery tray itself comes with fixings, instructions, the main part of the tray, tray support, and the battery holder. You will need copper grease. I always put copper grease in the threads, clean gloves, and paper towels if you need them. A 13mm wrench, a 10mm wrench, and a little adjustable wrench is handy to hold the other end if something spins. Here you'll notice I've also got, strangely, an M8 tap to clean the threads because the instructions say to do that, but it's very limited space in there, so I've had to adapt a 1/2" wrench with a 3/8 adapter because I can't find my 3/8 wrench, and then weirdly a torque screw, and then I put an 8mm socket onto that, which is here. Put it on backwards because it fits, because then the tap end is square and actually fits, so that gave me the correct reach and adjustment. So let's go around and find the holes that it says to actually thread. Okay, so as you can see, the instructions talk about the 4 threads that should be cleaned out first. So just below your coolant is your first one, and then down here you may have 3 of these. I only have 1 because I've got an older Bongo. You may have 3 of these. I believe they're relays, if I remember right. There's another one here, so clean that out with a tap. And then, slightly confusingly, you've actually got 3 here on this piece of rail, but looking at the photos it would appear, I'm hoping, it's these 2 nearest the front, but I'll check that because I've cleaned and I've already greased all 3 of those because I figured it was easier to do that. Okay, I've got my copper grease. Then instructions now talk about putting the tray leg into the 2 standard bolts in the bottom with a plain and a shake-proof washer on each. Just in case you don't know and you're doing this yourself, these are the plain washers, just flat washers. These are the shake-proof washers, little ridges on them. And then the 2 bolts. And this is the leg part. So looking at this, definitely lines up with the 2 holes nearest to the front. It's not possible to get to the rear one without turning it around, which obviously then falls on that part of the engine as well. So that's good. So pop that there for a moment. I'm putting the shake-proof washer on first, and then the plain washer, which will spread the load. And now another dab of copper grease for each. Copper grease is better than regular grease. Lasts longer. It's got better corrosion inhibitory factors. Now that's the fiddly bit. You just need to get the one bolt lined up. And once you've got one lined up, so get one bolt in to bite, and that'll hold it in place. Get your second bolt. You can see that there's a bit of adjustment here on the leg of this, which is good. And get the second bolt in. Take your time doing this. And this is where having tapped the threads to keep them clean pays dividends, because you can just hand tighten both these bolts. And you can see there's a little bit of adjustment, and that's why they tell you not to tighten it all the way up first. Step 2, and where I've just realized I've forgotten one of the tools I said at the start, is a large crosshead screw. And these will go into these 2 holes here. A dollop of copper grease, and then loosely get them lined up. Put this bolt and this bolt in. This bar is supposed to go in there as part of the locking mechanism for the battery. And that is going to be an absolute pain to get in there now. So I'm going to slightly modify these instructions, and I'm going to remove this top tray again, and then I'm going to fit the rod into this before I put the tray down and refit these 2 screws. It's going to make life a lot easier. Okay, so the easiest way to put this tray in is a long way down and push it down this side below the relay. Takes a little wiggling, but it gets there. And now get your 2 copper greased screws in. So they're in hand tight. 2 last bolts, shake-proof washer first, then the flat washer, and now a bit of grease and into each of the 2 holes. Again, remember everything's a little bit loose, just to give you that little bit of adjustment. Just go slow, do a section at a time and you'll be fine. Just enough to bite. Second one. Copper grease. Find your thread. Just enough to be tight. Excellent. And that is essentially fitted. Now it's just a case of tightening it all up. So I'm going to tighten up these crosshead screws first and make sure these are really tight. Now you got 1, 2 and down below 3, 4 13mm headed bolts to tighten in. Now my recommendation for this job is one of these, a 13mm flex head ratchet, depending which way you turn it. These are great. This is a Halfords one. This is not an advert for Halfords, but this is a set of Halfords Professional I bought in the Easter sales about 10 years ago. I've still got them and they've been fantastic. For this job in particular, because I'm going to have to get my hand right down here and do it by feel, then it's going to make life a lot easier if I can do that and then get the force to spread it properly. But initially, let's do the top end, I think. And then give the bottom a wiggle. So it's fairly solid, but now I need to get down to the other 2 screws. You can just about see them. This is where this spanner in particular works really well. And we're done. That's pretty solid. I've tightened the bottom 2 up as much as I can, so now retighten the top. All the way up. Done. So the more eagle-eyed of you will have noticed that the second bar to keep the battery in for the mechanism to keep it steady isn't fitted yet. And that's because it'll probably be easier to put the battery in first and then get at this from underneath here. It'll still be a little bit fiddly, but it's doable. So I'll be happy with that, to be honest. What I am wondering now are, looking around, 2 things. One, this relay, whilst it's not in the way, does effectively shorten the battery length there. Don't think it's going to be a big deal. I could have repositioned it, and if it really annoys me I still will. But number 2, more worryingly, is this wire down here. Out from under the, I think this is the fan for the heater, the external fan. This wire is right at the edge of that battery tray. So just to make sure it doesn't chafe, I'll come out, I'll get a zip tie and just zip tie it down just properly out of the way. And that's it for today. How to fit a battery tray. Pretty good looking bit of kit. And as I say, cheaper than some of the eBay alternatives.